Alright. Am I live? Of course I'm live. That's what YouTube says, but you never can trust YouTube these days. Alright, I'm live. What is up, you awesome kissers? It's CistReactZ here, guys. Welcome to you guys on the stream. I'm going to be recording a reaction to the long-awaited Scott Cawthon interview on DAWKO'S channel, because I want to know more about the history of how this game was made. And plus, DAWKO, shout-outs to that awesome guy, gave me permission to check it out. So yeah, here we go. Yeah, let's dive in, low gangers.
What's going on, guys? DAWKO back again. Hope you're fantastic today, and welcome
That was
to
loud.
the interview with Scott Cawthon. I am so excited and nervous at the same time. I'm so freaking nervous for this. But
He told me
I've got a bunch of questions.
He told me it was legit fine. He didn't. Now he's saying he's nervous.
To ask him from all of the games. So from
Liar!
Through till Ultimate Custom Night.
Knew it would feel weird to ask Scott Cawthon.
Ask him some future updates, what he's planning, and stuff about himself as well. So it's going to be a great interview.
Okay, and we're gonna learn about Scott on a spiritual level.
I've got a lot of questions, but I couldn't ask everybody's, of course. I got like literally 10,000 questions from you guys, so I had to pick each ones, and I gave Scott the questions, and we've reviewed them together for the ones he wants to answer. Okay, so yeah, that's all I need to say.
Holy crap, 300 viewers.
Thank you, Scott, for the opportunity to give you an interview. I am incredibly nervous. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I'm incredibly grateful for you guys and Scott as well, and this franchise. Happy anniversary to FNAF. 4 years today. It's insane. Let's go.
Alright, let's do it. Oh snap. He's gonna do the friggin' hello. Just watch.
Hello?
Hello. If you're hearing this, that means that you beat 50/20 mode, and I have to do an interview now, which I'm kind of uncomfortable with, but I'm gonna do it.
It's amazing.
Okay, I'm done with the phone guy shtick, so...
I'm done with the phone guy shtick.
I'm gonna try and keep it going for a while, but no, I think I'll just end it right there.
This dude sounds like net nobody.
So how are you doing today, Lewis?
I am very scared and nervous.
This guy sounds like net nobody.
You know.
That's
No,
weird.
no, that's crazy talk. Yeah, I've been a little anxious about this too, because you know, I tend to ramble on with my answers sometimes.
Oh.
I haven't prepared any answers for this. I'm just gonna try to speak from the heart and just talk about some stuff, and yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, awesome. Because today,
Strap in, guys. It's gonna be an hour.
is the 4-year anniversary of Five Nights at Freddy's. So, 4 years. It's crazy.
Yeah, 4 years.
And we'll just get straight into it. So the first game, so 4 years since Five Nights at Freddy's 1, we're going to go straight into that. So, the first question I'd love to ask you, kick it off with, how did you think of the original designs of the animatronics? So the original gang.
You know, the main three characters, Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica, those designs just kind of, I didn't really plan ahead like what animals they should be. Those three just kind of seemed natural to me for some reason. You know, the only one I really struggled with was trying to think of the fourth character. You know, who would be on the separate little stage kind of by himself.
Yeah.
Foxy.
And I'm trying to remember all the options that I originally was kind of debating between. I mean, one of the contenders was a fox, obviously, which ended up winning. The other one was a wolf. Another one was going to be a beaver, but then later I decided against that because I thought that was too on the nose from Chipper, so I decided against that. But yeah, actually, if I remember correctly, I really think that a beaver character was the front runner until I finally decided against him. But
wait, you guys are saying you can't hear it? Hold on.
the front runner until I finally decided.
Audio's fine. I don't know what you're talking about. Kevin, you gotta turn up your audio then.
Because of Chipper, and then went with Fox instead.
Yeah. So Freddy was always going to be the original like leader instead of Chipper.
Because
Yeah,
loud on
Freddy was
OBS.
always
You gotta turn up your audio if you can't hear.
going to be the main character. He was the first character that I made. It just came naturally. I didn't have to plan him out. I just knew that he was going to be a bear with a top hat, holding a microphone.
Yeah.
You probably thought that was funny.
He was always going to be the leader of the pack.
The next question is, how did you come up with the game mechanics? So sitting alone in an office, not being able to move. I think someone
What
mentioned
does he
about
think about
Sit
his
and
own
Survive.
game?
Did that have any inspiration for that? Any like old games
Yeah, what does he think about his
inspire you
own
for this one?
game mechanics?
Well, I don't think it was Sit and Survive. Sit and Survive was just kind of all of these games. Well, then again, I guess it was my mindset at the time, because my mindset at the time was to make smaller games, and that would be kind of a shorter experience. Because for a while I was trying to make these, big kind of sweeping epic games like The Desolate Hope and stuff, and it was just too much of a gigantic commitment that ultimately, that they just weren't paying off. And at the time I was really struggling, to find, something to kind of, support my family and everything. And Five Nights at Freddy's was kind of the result of me switching to this idea of making these shorter experiences that I can make a bit faster, without committing, 2 years to them, while also, just making it a really robust experience. It's just a shorter game, So I think that played a big part in it. Everything is designed to where you see everything right away. As soon as you jump in, you're in the experience. And so it doesn't matter if it lasts for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. You're in the middle of it right away. And yeah.
Did anything change along the course of making FNAF 1?
I don't think I had any problems. Lots of the stuff that was in there, I don't know. Five Nights at Freddy's 1, I think just was a result of just all the right ingredients to be there. I threw a bunch of stuff in there, and then people would the people who test it would kind of give me, and I'm not my kids, I let some other people test it as well, but they would give me some advice. Like one person said, I think you should leave out Phone Guy. I think that's too much exposition. And then, my mother jumped in and said, "Oh, I don't think you should have backstory about anybody getting killed. I don't think the game needs that." And then I think I made a lot of good decisions about what to leave in, and what to take out. And it was just all the right ingredients. All the right ingredients were there. So, yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out.
It really stood out from all of the indie games everybody was playing at that time. And that's definitely how it became successful. It just stood out from any other horror experience as well. So yeah, good job. Really good job. Speaking about that, it exploding, did you think it was going to, get a huge reaction on the internet?
No, of course not. I mean, but like I said, at the time, I was just trying to, make a bunch of little games to kind of, help support my family. And at the time, I think I was making, slot machine games and just, anything would bring in an extra, $40 or $50 a month, and just trying to accumulate all that stuff up. So no, whenever I mean, don't get me wrong, that wasn't just an afterthought of a game. I mean, I put a lot of, time and effort into Five Nights at Freddy's, obviously, but as far as, expecting it to explode, no, of course not. I remember whenever I released it, I didn't get it on Steam or anything. It was a website called Desera at the time, which was just more immediately welcoming of, anybody who wanted to post games. I think there are other sites that do that now, but, I was watching the download count on that, and I was watching it just kind of skyrocket. And, and eventually my wife would come over and she'd be like, let me look at the number. She'd come over every 10 minutes wanting to see, because she was just astonished at how quickly that number was just going from, 5,000 downloads, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. It was just going through the roof just by the minute, And it really, at the time, I was just kind of enjoying it that evening. I was like, well, this is great, this is, but it'll be over tomorrow, and that was really my mindset. It's like, oh, well, this is, it's a big spike. Everybody's really enjoying it. I wonder what I'm going to make tomorrow. I had no idea that 4 years later, I was still going to be in the middle of a bunch of, Five Nights at Freddy's projects.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Do you have a favorite memory of Five Nights at Freddy's 1?
Probably when Bonnie scared the crap out of him.
Yeah, I do. And it's the first first jump scare for me and the first jump scare for my two kids, you know, and it was all Bonnie, which thrills me because Bonnie is kind of the
I kept
the
reading.
only one that
I read some
think is
threads
the
about
scary
Scott getting
design
like
for
scared
me.
by Bonnie.
Like, I've never had a nightmare about any of my own characters
It's
except for
interesting.
Bonnie.
That's interesting.
But yeah, I remember when I was developing the game at the time, Bonnie was just a still image and not an animated jump scare. I just had an image of Bonnie up in your face for whenever he had reached you.
Yeah.
And that startled me. You know, I was flipping through the panels and stuff, and I was intentionally I was testing out the AI.
Yeah.
You know, I think I even had a little map showing me that there was a little red dot moving through the building.
Mm-hmm.
But even though I was expecting it, I put down the monitor and there was Bonnie looking at me, and it
God.
was upsetting. You know, it was startling.
Yeah.
No.
You know, and now, you know, now that doesn't really startle anybody anymore, but at the time,
Yeah.
I don't know, it got me. And so then I was after I'd animated, I was letting my two sons play it, and I was getting to, you know, watch I had a good seat behind both of them, so I was able to get a good view of them playing and what they were playing and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew what was coming, and they had no idea. and you know, and
Should've
the
recorded
younger of the
that.
two, he got jump scared by Bonnie, and he just launched backward in his chair. You know, good times tormenting the children.
I mean, you still do. You made them test Ultimate Custom Night as well. 4 years on.
No, I'll tell you what. You know, my two sons, Ian and Braden, they've been great. They've been great supporters. You know, all these years, I couldn't have done any of this without those two. You know, they've been just faithful beta testers for me.
Faithful
You know,
beta
whenever
testers.
They were really little. You know, I'd pay them through ice cream and stuff like that. But yeah, I made a big mistake this last time with Braden. You know, obviously I don't make them do this, so you know, I tried to incentivize them. And Braden and you know,
I'll buy
Braden
you
gotten
some
wise
candy.
to it.
I'll
He's
buy
like,
you
well,
some
know,
candy.
Well, how about if I go through and beat all these challenges? You know, and so I just thought, well, you know, I don't know, I'll give you $20 for each of the challenges you beat, thinking he was going to beat one or two of them. I was like, yeah, he'll spend 30 minutes on this. You know, so I'll commit 20, $40, $60, whatever. He sat there and he did like a 12-hour marathon on that game. He was playing it nonstop. He was raging so hard in there, and he completed every single one of those challenges except for like the last one, I think.
Jesus
That
Christ!
boy made bank that day. He walked away with about $300.
Jesus Christ!
Oh,
That boy made bank.
Yeah, man. But it was totally worth it because he found bugs and glitches that would have been really bad. I mean, that's the whole point anyway. You know, he found these things that I needed to fix before I released the game. So.
Okay, here's an interesting question about FNAF 1. Was there any reason why the kitchen camera was disabled, like due to gameplay limits on Click Team?
Oh, he's asking.
Or anything like that?
Oh, he's asking those.
No. I just thought it would be interesting.
Oh.
I mean, you know, that mechanic ended up not really playing a big role in anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think originally, you know, I had wanted, and I got better with this in later games, how to make audio play a bigger role in it. You know, I got better at that. But in the first one, that was my attempt
FNAF 4.
to make audio play a bigger part in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of ended up just being just something different and not really being a major mechanic or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a good mechanic to know that Freddy was in the kitchen as well, because when Freddy's in the kitchen, he plays his music, right?
That's right. That's right.
So I think it does play a mechanic, because you know that Freddy's in there, and usually when Freddy's roaming around, you see his eyes, but you just see nothing inside there. So when you were making Five Nights at Freddy's 1, were you already planning on making a sequel, or any other ideas what were flinging in your head on what to do?
I definitely left a lot of things open-ended, you know, in case I wanted to expand upon them later. I mean, obviously, like I did not have the entire story planned out, as I know there's much debate about that on the subreddit. Like, oh, you know, he's some kind of mad genius that had, you know, 7 games planned out from the beginning. No, I didn't.
Nope.
Not all, you know, but I definitely knew that the story I was telling in the first game was a small snippet of a larger story. Even if I didn't have all the details of that story fleshed out yet, you know, I knew that the story being told in that game was a smaller part of a whole.
And if you could go back in time, is there anything you would change or add to Five Nights at Freddy's 1?
No, not the first one.
Yeah.
I can go back and think about all the other games and be like, I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd done that. But no, the first game was just kind of a perfect storm of ingredients. It was, you know, it was just the right time. You know, when, you know, everybody was really into indie horror games.
Yeah.
And I think it was the right look and it was the right feel because it was something, you know, different than what everybody else was playing. And it was, you know, kind of a type of horror game, or at least the antagonists were something that hadn't really been explored in horror games, I didn't feel. You know, the idea of animatronic creatures. So, and you know, and everybody really liked Phone Guy. Obviously, everybody liked the little Easter eggs thrown in and the backstory. No, it was just
and then how we got
good
dead
mix
at
of
the end.
ingredients, and it was kind of lightning in a bottle. And I don't think I was ever able to fully capture that again, and I don't think I really will be able to. And that's okay. I mean, like I said, that was kind of it was kind of lightning in a bottle.
Right, we'll go on to Five Nights at Freddy's 2 next. November 2014. If you didn't make this game, I wouldn't be here now, basically. Honestly, it's the truth. So FNAF 2 is the game that really means a lot to me, and I'll be forever grateful.
Yeah, fun fact, FNAF 2 is like, FNAF 2 is the best one. FNAF 2 is my favorite. I think the old X-Dying CistReactZ channel started around the time of FNAF 2, so I quickly got done with FNAF 1 just to play. Oh my god! Me and this dude are kind of like the same though.
For
like
it.
for real.
So,
like,
yeah. Thank
my
you.
FNAF like
Just wanted to
my
quickly
FNAF
plug that
experience
in.
started around that time. I don't know.
Good.
I appreciate it. About Five Nights at Freddy's 2, how did you get the idea for, you know, changing the mechanics up a little bit?
Now, this
so
is the
the
one I want to hear
masks
about
and
the
the
most, though,
vents,
because I love this
you know,
one.
watching the puppet.
You know, there wasn't a really
This one
in-depth
feels the
planning
most.
phase.
This one feels smoother.
For like the overall feel of the games, like a lot of these
easier.
were, I just kind of knew what they were supposed to be, or just kind of felt the way that the series should progress. Like I knew that part 2 should be chaotic. You know, part 2 should be, you know, a lot more chaotic than the first one. It should be just crazy. It should be overwhelming.
Not that chaotic
panic.
when you could just
And
click
then I
down
also
and a
knew,
mask
even
pops
at
up.
that time, before, as I was working on part 2, I
That's
knew
why I
that
like
3
that
should
one.
be a very personal experience. It should be the opposite of what 2 was. You know, part 3 should be kind of one-on-one, and I knew that part 4 should be kind of unique as far as setting and things like that. And I knew that part 5 should be kind of high tech, and I even kind of already had color schemes picked out. Like I knew that part 5 should kind of be purples and blues.
Yeah.
I knew that 3 should be kind of green, and I knew that 2 should be kind of 2 should feel kind of industrial, which I think that it does.
Oh.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I'm not really sure. And maybe there was more to it at the time, but you know, it all happened so fast, you know.
Yeah. Did you have any scrapped content or anything for the game? Because some people mentioned the toxicity. Is that how you say it? Toxicity meter?
Right. The toxic meter. I think, if I remember correctly, I think that the toxic meter was an early idea on just something so that players couldn't put the mask on and leave it on forever.
Yes, leave it on forever.
Oh.
You know, I had the idea that if you put the mask on, this meter starts running out.
Yeah.
But I don't know, that didn't really seem to fit. I don't know, it just didn't make quite as much sense. And so then the way that I solved it was, you know, obviously having the need to go and wind the music box every once in a while, and the fact that, you know, Foxy was immune to the mask. You know, so I came up with other ways that felt a little more natural than just putting on the mask and seeing a meter deplete. It's like, oh, okay, I can only wear this for 5 seconds. It seemed a little too artificial.
And it works perfectly anyway, so I don't think
that
it was
freaking
needed
toxic
anyway
meter would have been
because of
like
what you just said.
toxic.
The things that you've added, you're not going to always keep the mask on forever anyway. So, was there a reason why you decided to remove Toy Chica's beak after she left the stage to make her more creepy?
He's gonna answer that one.
You know, once again, I'm not entirely sure what my mindset was on that. I think it was just kind of a way to distinguish her stage presence Chica from now I'm a monster coming to get you. You know, like if she's entered attack mode or something. You know, Once again, actually, I think maybe part of it is because, like, you know, a classic Chica, even on stage, was still kind of creepy looking, but the toy versions, just in their standing state on stage, weren't quite as creepy. I mean, I think Toy Bonnie still retains some of that, but like Toy Chica isn't really scary looking. Toy Chica by herself isn't very scary, I didn't think. And yeah, so removing the beak was just one thing to just kind of push it into, you know,
scary mode,
making her look a little more uncomfortable.
Okay.
So, how did you come up with the mini games? Because this was the first game to ever have mini games. Was this to, you know, show the lore not on paper, if that makes sense? So, you know, instead of just giving like this and this and this, oh blah 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 blah, the killer killed 5 kids, yada yada yada. But instead, you didn't show it on paper. You put into a mini game.
Right. I think it was because, I don't know, I wanted to keep the gameplay experience similar, but I also wanted to make the game a little bit more fleshed out than the first one, and so that just seemed like a kind of a natural way to do that, where, you know, while not interfering with the gameplay, you know, putting it in kind of an unexpected way that would make it interesting, but while also not making the player feel like they're forced to sit through cutscenes, things like that.
Do you have any good memories of FNAF 2 at all, or bad?
That was a really stressful time for me, I think, because obviously, you know, my life was changing a lot at that point. You know, there was just a lot of, there was a big frenzy going on with just all aspects of my life, and I was really trying to work on that. But I mean, they're still good memories. But I just wouldn't want to revisit that. You know, it was really chaotic, and I was really stressed out. So I mean, all good memories, but I wouldn't want to revisit it.
Okay, we'll move on to Five Nights at Freddy's 3 then. So
least favorite.
This is when I emailed you for early access. I literally had only like I think it was like 6k subs or something like that, and I've still got the email. I was like, hey Scott, my name's Dawko, I make FNAF videos. Is there any chance I can get it early when it comes out? And you said yeah. You put me on your list.
Oh, wait a minute though, like Scott had like a public email out there. I always thought he never put it out there. I could have probably got a freaking early access list. Dang it, I'm bad. Man, he always had it. He had something out there at the time.
Like, honestly,
I've still got that list. I've still got that list on my desktop. The same one from all those years
I didn't know
ago.
he actually put it out there publicly.
It's literally called my the VIP list.
You said that in the email. You said I'll put you on the VIP list, and I was so happy. I was screaming when you replied. Oh, such a good memory.
And I don't use that list very often anymore, but I still keep it, you know, because you never know what's going to come up, you know, for future events. I always keep that VIP list.
That's awesome. Am I still on it?
Of course you're still on it. Yeah, everybody's. I never take anybody off the VIP list.
Okay, so I can be bad, and then you'll never take me off, right?
Well, I mean, don't test it.
I was kind of testing it with Ultimate Custom Night with this 50-20 mode fiasco. Five Nights at Freddy's 3, another good memory for me. February. After this game came out, I was in university studying law at the time, and I quit to carry on with this game franchise on my channel. So yeah, another good memory with FNAF 3. First off, how did you think of Springtrap?
I don't know. Once again, he was just the character for that game. I did not sketch out a whole bunch of characters and write pros and cons lists. You know, he was just the natural villain for that. You know, I knew what the villain was supposed to be, and I just kind of started modeling him, and he just kind of came together.
Yeah. This model was like a big difference compared to the other ones that you did, because you had to go through all the details of the, you know, it being withered and having like body parts and gore and stuff like that.
Yeah, so he did take longer to model, and you know his purple corpse is in that whole body that whole time.
Yeah.
You know, even though the majority of the game you never see it. You know,
Yeah.
purple guy, he's in there.
Yeah, and well.
Oh
we
my
got
God,
those
he
secret,
referred to it as purple guy.
Images.
Yeah, that's true. You
Yeah.
get to see him a little bit.
Can we get an F for
and
purple
the
guy?
troll. Was this the first time you did the troll game as well? Was this the first? This was when you first.
Yep, it sure was.
The launch
Yep,
of the
that was
troll
first time.
games.
Yeah, that was the first troll
The
game.
troll era?
And it was.
Sure was.
Oh, we were. It was like a platformer from one of your old games, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, old game. There is no pause button. I stuck
Yes,
Freddy's
that's
head.
it.
There is
Yes.
no pause button.
But that was the first time we saw
Bad
Springtrap as
memories.
well, because you put Springtrap in the menu, and there were some frames where he did have
That's
his
right.
like his mask and stuff going crazy, like coming on and off. But
That's right.
I remember the first teaser you did with he always
That's
comes
right,
back and
times
stuff,
two.
and people originally thought that it was like Fredbear, didn't they? Instead of being
Well,
a,
yeah, they thought it was Golden Freddy. Yeah.
yeah, instead of it being like a rabbit character. So I remember those times, man. I was one of them, by the way.
Yeah, where everyone was
I
just
originally
shooting in the
thought it
dark
was,
because we didn't know what the
Golden
heck was going on.
Freddy. This game
Theories
was
left
when
and
things
right.
went a little bit crazy with like the mini games and stuff, and the good ending and the bad ending. If you can answer this, which ending really happened?
I've given a lot of thought
Mhm.
as to whether or not I should answer this question,
Okay.
and I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And the answer is very interesting. You know,
Okay.
the answer is very interesting. The answer is complex.
Okay.
However, I'm not going to answer it because it's only going to cause strife. I mean, you see the kind of trouble that erupts, especially several
Yeah.
years ago. The flame wars that would go on over Mangel's gender, something as simple as that. You know.
yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, people with torches and pitchforks.
Mhm.
Ah.
No, yeah, I don't think I'm going to answer this one. I'm afraid.
So, the good ending, you know, it was very, you know, sad, and it seemed like it was like the end of the franchise. Was this meant to be the final game?
I think when I was making that game,
Mm-hmm.
in my mind,
I gotta
that
make
was
5
the
more.
end of a
Crap.
trilogy.
Yeah.
You know, I think in my mind the story was going to be 3 games, and in all honesty, I think Five Nights at Freddy's 3 was where I kind of started letting myself be driven a little bit more by criticisms of the game than maybe I had before. Before, everybody was just really, really excited, you
Yeah.
know, happy to have all this stuff. But whenever 3 came out, I really was starting to pay attention to criticism. You know, for instance,
Oh.
you know, even though I may have, you know, in some, you know, alternate life, may have left the series alone at 3, people were not happy with the jump scare, and it's kind of as simple as that. People weren't happy with the jump scare of Springtrap, and that really bothered me.
How?
And so then that kind of, in my mind, that wouldn't let the series rest. you
Like,
know?
I'm not being a suck up. This game can literally give you a heart attack. If anything, this is probably the scariest game in the series. I don't like this game that much, but it's like it has to be the scariest one. Like the Phantoms, and then Springtrap just coming out of nowhere.
Way, because
How, though?
I wanted to make another
just
entry that
salty.
was
That-
really, really
Game could give you a heart attack when you're not
Yeah.
suspecting it.
and
For real.
And I think I accomplished that with Five Nights at Freddy's
Yes.
4. You know,
Like, if you
really
don't know this
focusing
series
on
and someone made you
really
jump to the
cool,
third
really
game,
quick,
you're gonna
unexpected
die.
jump scares that
Yes.
would kind of make you jerk. So yeah, so honestly, the series kind of was nudged forward by me wanting to improve upon the last entry.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, maybe
That's
FNAF 4 might be the
Speaking
scariest,
about
but
Five
FNAF
Nights at
3
Freddy's 4, this
FNAF
was
3
the
second
next
place
one.
is scary.
July. Well, you originally planned it for it to be a Halloween release, right? And then you released it in July.
Right. Well, I had things to do. You know, the way
Terrible
that
release
I see it
dates.
is that if you have something ready to go,
Just do
you
it.
know,
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point? You know, I'm not a, you know, I wasn't a gigantic corporation, you know, with, you know, releasing, you know, advertise with a big marketing campaign, all targeting a specific date, trying to squeeze it between other releases. You know, I mean, I had people who were excited about the game and who were looking forward to it, and those are the only people that I was thinking about. You know, it's like, hey, you know, there's a fan base here, and they're excited for this. You know, why not just go ahead and let them have it, and I'll just hop into the next project, you know. And that served me really well for,
hop into the next project
for the majority of the games.
Yeah.
Jesus, this man never got a break. It sounds like.
I remember I was on holiday, wasn't I? And you emailed me about doing a first thoughts on the game. And I remember you emailing me, like, I think it was like literally the day after, saying, you know what, I'm just going to release it.
Jesus.
So I think
you
that
see
made
this man down there?
excited about it,
this
though.
man freaking down here is
everyone was
excited.
like, right, we know what it's like now. Scott, please just release it now, because
I remember being on the floor playing that game.
You know, I played it on holiday, and I have a lot of good memories playing through it. You know, while I'm screaming when people are next door to me, because, you know, on cruise ships, cabins are really close together. So I was full on screaming in my cabin. I was honestly wondering what the next door neighbours were thinking about what the hell I was doing.
Nah, man, I remember just like on the day FNAF 4 came out just out of nowhere, man. I jumped so high, ran to ask my dad for his Steam card, and I had to wait like 2 hours until he stopped being lazy. Ah, man. You guys remember being like super hyped for all these games? Memories just rush all in.
Memory. Sorry to stress you out. You're not the only person that I stressed out, by the way. So don't feel like you were getting isolated, trying to cause you trouble. I think, if I remember correctly, right after I released Final Fantasy 4, I was sending out emails saying, "Hey, this game's out. Hey, this game's out." And I sent one to Markiplier, you know, and he emailed me back saying, you know, "Dude, I can't play this. I just got to, you know, this game conference just started. It's going to be going on for 4 days." You know, but I stressed him out too, because obviously at the time everybody was pestering him, you know, to play it immediately. And I think that he was able to, you know, being the good sport that he is, he's still just like you did, you know, even though you were inconvenienced, you still found time to, you know, do videos.
Yeah, I always try to. If you remember with FNAF World, and I was in hospital, I still played it.
yeah, that's right, you sure were.
Yeah. Oh god. Oh, I could never miss anything ever. So with Five Nights at Freddy's 4, like you said, I think you basically.
Yeah, for the people in the chat feed, this is a reaction video. It's literally in the title. Scott's not here. Stop trolling people.
Answered this question anyway.
I'm reacting. I'm not interviewing Scott myself. DAWKO'S. If it wasn't obvious for the last 30 minutes.
You know, back to like.
Get your minds out of the gutter.
Anxious all the time, and.
Nani. Trying to give me copyright. Get out of here. Missed me with that. Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
The interesting thing you did with this one is I feel like every game you make, you try and implement a new mechanic that you haven't done before. And this one was specifically to do with sound, because you had to go to the doors and listen closely for breathing. And I think that impacted the jump scare like a million times as scary. Because, you know, you're full on listening to the game. You have to listen to the game. So when you get that jump scare out of nowhere, while you're listening, waiting for them to breathe,
like,
you know,
yeah.
I think that's
so
really
stupid. Listening to that sound in the door
made the game stand out.
Scary.
Yeah, lots of the games were kind of experimental with different ways of initiating, you know, the jump scare to see what was really effective. And
opening that door is probably the scariest thing in the game.
Into, you know, this big dark chasm in front of you, not knowing if there's a face, you know, 2 inches from your own face looking back at you, and then you having to commit to turn on the flashlight, and then you're, you know, I think that one really worked.
Yeah, it's terrifying. So how were these to model Were they, just as hard as Springtrap? Because it seemed like you were going all out on these Nightmare animatronics for the designs.
Yeah.
The Nightmare animatronics were
All
probably
beat up and
the
tattered.
most elaborate to model. I mean, I remember, anytime I start a new game, that's always the most difficult phase, is just starting into the modeling phase, because I know that it's going to take a really long time, and it takes a lot of patience, a lot of attention to detail. The Five Nights at Freddy's 1 models weren't that bad. I think I modeled Freddy in 2 days, and then I think I took that model and adjusted to make Bonnie in another day.
Dang.
And then the ones from Five Nights at Freddy's 2 were probably about the same day, maybe 1 or 2 days per character. I mean, that's working all day on them, but still just a day or two per character.
Yeah.
I think Springtrap took maybe 4 or 5 days to make him.
Yeah.
And each of the Nightmare animatronics.
Well, yeah, because you
I
gotta
think I spent
make
about
another
a week
body
and a
inside
half
of that
on each
one.
Right.
I think a couple of them even 2 weeks on each one, just because lots of teeth, lots of tears in the fabric, which are not texture mapped on. I mean, those are actually kind of torn out into the model, because I just think it looks a lot more convincing than trying to, texture map them on there. So I'd have to go in there really close, and I would have to actually, cut into that character, delete polygons and then straighten them all out to make them look like they're sharp corners rather than blocky squares. There's just a lot of work, but I mean totally worth it though.
Yeah, exactly. So about the models,
Real
people
worth
were
it.
wondering about Foxy's tongue. So Foxy originally had a tongue in the teaser. Did you take that out because of complications with the game or anything?
No, I took it out because I didn't think it was it was scary on the teaser. There's something about those those long snake-like demonic tongues that they're kind of cool in theory, but they're not really scary in practice. I don't think I've ever seen a monster in a movie extend out its long tongue and snake it around and then
Koth, Girahim, Skyward Sword, Legend of Zelda.
me be scared by it. They're just not very scary. So yeah, so I just took
Especially
it out.
when he widens his eyes.
Awesome.
Oh god, he looks
About
terrifying.
this game, it created a
With
bit
his
of
tongue
a
out.
divide between people. Specifically the box at the end, and then the
He's going on about the box.
the TV advertisement.
He's going to lore
with
territory again.
1983, and then the Bite of 87 debate. How did you feel about the reactions to that?
Kind of like with Five Nights at Freddy's 3, where there was something I was kind of left unsatisfied with. The reaction to Five Nights at Freddy's 4, and the box
laughing
tied
all day.
into this, very, very closely. I don't think that people weren't really happy from a lore standpoint, even though I got the jump scares kind of right.
Yeah.
And the box really fit into that lore aspect. I felt that it had all gone kind of it had strayed too far from an actual story in a way. Me just saying that, I'm going to get torn apart for even saying that, because people are going to look at what I've ended up with and they're like, you call this a story? But I mean, Five Nights at Freddy's 4, it kind of went a little too broad. It cast its net too wide for interpretation. I guess that's the best way to say it. It went too broad for interpretation, and that left people unsatisfied. Because whereas the other ones, there were mysteries. 4 ended up just too mysterious to the point where you really couldn't, there was no real way to figure out what was going on. And it left people unsatisfied. Yeah. And like I said, with
kind of random.
From 3 to 4, I knew that I had to go in and straighten that out. It's like, people aren't really happy with this. I need to make another game. I need to kind of ground this again, not necessarily in reality, but I need to ground it in kind of storytelling again. And really lay this down with what's going on. Obviously I watch all the game theory videos, and me and Matt have sometimes had an antagonistic relationship back and forth. I inconvenience him with my games, and sometimes he inconveniences me with his theories, but it's all in good fun.
Inconvenience you with his theories.
But I'll tell you, he did a video on that box, and he kind of said that he thinks the contents of the box changed over the years. And I bet nobody gave that a whole lot of thought, but I saw that and I was like, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. The contents of that box have changed over the years because, it's for that very reason. It's because, of what I was intending the game to be when it happened. And then after the reaction of it, I was like, I need to craft this into something better for for the people who see this as important, and that kind of indirectly does change the contents of the box, you know, because it changes the contents of everything that came before. Yeah, so I thought that was an interesting observation on his part.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned this.
God dang!
On one of your Steam posts or something that you put some things in Sister Location to ground out the story of FNAF 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right, so I mentioned about the hospital fiasco. This was when FNAF World was on the scene.
Remember this game, guys?
So,
this
why
podcast
did
does
you
your
decide
Steam
to
library.
change things up and make FNAF World?
Well, I do have some reasons for why I made it, even though they're not. It doesn't mean it was a good idea. Just just because I want to go ahead and get that out front. Just because I had reasons for making it, doesn't mean it was a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
But one part of it was just that. I mean, there's only so much that you can let your mind focus on, murders and tragedy and stuff like that. Before it, you kind of start cracking. Even if it's just stories that you're making up, there's only so much human suffering that the human mind can sit around and think about. And at that point, I was 2 years in, just fully committed to this grisly story of murders. And I had to make something more lighthearted. And in hindsight, what I should have done is, I should have used that for a troll game, or I should have, made something like, Foxy Fighters. I should have just done something that was obviously for fun and not tried to somehow tie it in to a canon game. And that's obvious to me now. But like I'm saying, like I was saying, I wasn't thinking completely rationally at the time. And whereas, like I was saying, Five Nights at Freddy's 1 was the right game at the right time, FNAF World, that wasn't a good time for it to be made, because I was already in the rhythm of making games that were, coming out not too far apart from each other. I was making them pretty fast, and that's what people were wanting and expecting, and that's what I was wanting to do anyway. I'm not, blaming people for wanting that. That's what I had created, that pattern, and I was happy with that. I liked making games really fast, but that was just a really poor decision of a game to try to make fast. In hindsight, like now would have probably been a better time to sit back and work on something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, like after all the after I was kind of satisfied with all the canon games and other companies that kind of taken on some other projects, then I could sit back and maybe enjoy making an RPG, and spend a couple of years on it, and just make something really nice, kind of, that looked like the Desolate Hope, really make some nice 3D models for it. Oh, and another mistake I made was FNAF World. I was designing it for mobile. I don't know. This is a whole separate interview about what went wrong with FNAF World. So let's just move along.
Oh. Holy crap.
Okay.
He said,
so how would you treat the game now as an experience? Like, have you learned anything making this game?
Oh yeah. I learned a lot. In fact, right before you called, I was kind of thinking over that game, and I realized that that's probably the least valuable game I've ever made as far as profit is concerned, but it's also the single most valuable game out of the entire franchise. And the reason is because what I learned from FNAF World is what is driving every single project going on right now. It is serving as the gemstone of quality control in my mind, and it has solidified exactly what I have to do going forward.
This man
if I was
unlocked
treating
a spiritual
the movie as I was treating my game series at the time I made FNAF World, we would be 3 movies into the FNAF movies by now. Yeah, and they would probably be terrible. If I had the mindset that, oh hey, it's Five Nights at Freddy's, people will love it, regardless of quality, then we would already have several movies and they would all be terrible. I mean, and this Ultimate Custom Night would have come out way too soon, and it just served as a really important lesson for me that you should never take. It taught me to never take for granted.
Yeah.
How special it is to have a group of people who are eager to play what you make. Whenever I made I'll use the Desolate Hope as my example again. I saw one person made a piece of fan art of that on the internet. I found it on Google, so I'm going to draw one of the characters, and that was the most special thing to me in the world, that someone had drawn a picture of one of my characters. Like, I can't even tell you how important seeing that one drawing was. And it was just, I'd have no idea who it was. But then, to have a fan base and to have kids that are drawing these pictures and, I got a letter. I got a letter from the other day addressed to Foxy.
Oh.
You know, and God bless the post office in my town for knowing me and for sending me these letters anyway. I kid you
Yeah,
not. It was,
we
it
got
was
another
addressed
one
to
for
Foxy.
Golden.
Only to Foxy, and I think below it might have they might have had some other clue as to who
That was
it was
an accent?
who it was for, but the
Sorry about that. I just missed
letters
something.
anyway. I kid you not. It was addressed to Foxy. Only to Foxy, and I think below it might have they might have had some other clue as to who it was for, but the post office made sure to pass it along to me.
Oh.
You know, I mean, how awesome is that? You know, and the letter was written to Foxy. You know, it was asking Foxy a question.
That's so awesome.
Okay, that's
You
what
know,
I missed.
that's
Audio messed
so,
up for me.
There's nothing more priceless than that.
Yeah.
You know, and to have a fan base, you know, of people who care about these characters in the games, you know, that is the only thing that matters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they should never be taken for granted.
Yeah.
And you know, who cares if something is commercial, and who cares if something is going to make a whole bunch of money? You know, you just have to make sure that whenever those people finally
Good guy,
get to
Scott.
see
Good
this
guy,
next
Scott.
thing, that it's something that lifts them up and makes them happy, and it's something that it was everything that they wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's all that matters. You know, and I need to write that kid back. I'm gonna go get a big envelope and put a bunch of Foxy plush toys, and I'm gonna write a letter as Foxy. I've never done that before, but I'm gonna totally
Good
do it.
guy,
And I'm
Scott!
gonna even make a little tear in the paper and say that it was
Good guy,
my
Scott.
hook.
Yeah, he's
I'm gonna
so-
totally
yeah.
do that.
This
Yeah,
man
that's
is a
awesome.
legend.
That's really awesome.
But yeah, so yeah, that's a long story. But no, FNAF World taught me to never take for granted your fan base.
Look, guys, stop hating on Rainbow. He's like the only mod down there. He's handling a stream with 252 people right now. He's just trying to get you to remember some rules. Okay? Don't be toxic to Rainbow. Don't be mean to Rainbow. He's just trying to do his job. Rainbow, don't be too harsh on people, but you know, mods have to be a little bit harsh still, but be the right amount of harsh. But guys, just chill, all right?
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
the only mod down there trying to help.
And the final question, which everybody's wanted to ask, is will Chipper ever return like he said he would?
Ah, is he?
Hey, Chipper is, listen, all of these games are haunted by different spirits, right?
Right.
But the real spirit haunting this whole franchise is Chipper.
Oh,
Chipper
snap!
is haunting this whole franchise.
Oh God!
I mean, I received a box of merchandise the other day, you know, like manufacturer samples, and there's a plush toy of Chipper, well, L Chip, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I held that plush toy, and I was looking at L Chip, and I was
L
thinking to
Chip.
myself, you know, you got merch. You got merch, Chipper.
Yeah.
You know, you were an abysmal failure, but you found your way into this merch. And there you sit with that goofy grin on your face. You know.
I
Yeah, no,
did
so
it.
Chipper's already back. He's infiltrated the franchise.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, see, so L Chip to you was a reference to Chipper.
Oh yeah, of course he is.
Yeah, thought so. Now, this
Oh
location.
no! I heard the music. I was like, oh snap! Here we go.
I feel like this was
This
like
location.
the biggest change up in the franchise because you added voice actors. You know, you went beyond the limits of Click Team to a lot of people, where you know you added a sense of free roam in this like
Here we go,
huge
boys.
location. Is that maybe why you decided to put voice acting in to change things up a little bit?
I think for Five Nights at Freddy's 1 through 4, I consider that all like one sitting for me. Like I sat down, I feel like I just sat down and made all 4 games in one sitting.
Yeah.
And it was only after that I sat back and thought, you know, how can I improve upon this? How can I add something new? And so that's when I was, you know, entertaining new ideas in my mind.
Yeah.
And yeah, voice acting just kind of, I don't remember exactly what it was, but man, I'm sure glad that I did. You know, I bumped into just some incredible talent, you know, that got to use. Obviously, I mean, almost all of them, if not all of the voice actors that got for Sister Location, have come back to reprise their roles or other roles. You know,
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. That's awesome.
amazing people.
Yeah, they really are. Hello, by the way, voice actors, if you're watching.
Hello, voice actors.
So
Rainbow,
I
drop a
think you
Discord link for
basically
people in the
answered some of
chat.
these. So I asked like,
Or you
what
can check out the
inspired
Discord
you
link
to
in the
make the
description.
game
Forgot
style
to mention
so
that.
different. I mean, like, I think you've answered that throughout the interview. You just wanted to make something different compared to the others. So how were these two model and design?
Probably hard with all the
think
wires.
I think the sister location characters are probably were my favorite ones to model. I really like the
Terrifying.
I really like the metallic kind of look. I always kind of tend to lean sci-fi, which has actually gotten me in trouble a couple of times with this franchise. You know, anytime I try to lean sci-fi, which is my natural inclination, you know, people are like, "Hey, whoa, 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 this is a horror story," and then I have to somehow try to guide it back, you know. And then rightfully so. The first game's a horror movie; it's not sci-fi. But yeah, I don't know. I just I wanted it to be sci-fi. I wanted it to look really sleek and polished, and I really enjoyed modeling all of those characters. And yeah, like I said, I think those are probably some of my favorite characters of the series.
So here's an interesting one, which I don't know if you're gonna answer or not. So in Night 4, when we're inside the suit, a lot of people wanted to know whose suit is that.
Chica's.
Whose suit is that?
Probably
I'm
the
afraid I'm
Marina.
not going to be able to answer that for you.
That's fine.
That's gonna have to remain a topic of discussion.
Any memories or favourite moments?
I really enjoyed making.
A topic that's gonna have to remain a topic of discussion. But that means maybe later we might find out. I don't like how this is sounding. I think you guys are catching my drift, and I don't like how this is sounding.
That game. I have nothing but good memories
Oh,
about that.
no.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I really enjoyed.
I don't
making
like how that sounded.
And I really enjoyed working on the trailer. I think that's my favorite trailer, the ones that I made, and I loved seeing the reactions. Everybody just seemed to. And honestly, I think that's what creates the memories for me, is just seeing how things are kind of.
Not an
received.
eighth. Not an
And, you know,
eighth.
obviously, if something is received really well, then I know I did my job right. You know, and I know that I did something right. And yeah, being able so I think my favorite moment was getting to release that trailer and just seeing all the excitement from it, and then I knew that I was on the right track.
Awesome.
Good.
Yeah, I loved that trailer. I think I did a reaction. Yes, I did a reaction.
Don't hold it against us.
I loved it. It's so good and different as well, compared to your other trailers too. Because I think the favourite trailers from you to me are most likely FNAF 3 and Sister Location. I love it when you put like your own cutscenes in the trailers. I think it's really awesome.
Yeah.
I have no
Cutscenes would've been
idea how
better.
you did that.
Like
how did you
8-bit
do
mini
that,
games, to
if
be
I can
honest.
ask that? Like, how did you put the models in cutscenes? Was that with Click Team? I don't know anything about this stuff.
I think you can just animate like that.
Well, I mean, before I was making video games, I mean, I was.
Thanks
I
for
was
the
an
Discord
animator.
link,
You know, I mean,
Rainbow.
I got my
Check out my
degree in
Discord.
computer
Rainbow
animation,
posted
and
a
I
link.
had several jobs where I was.
We like to talk to people.
None of my jobs have ever involved making games at all. You know, it's always been about using 3D Studio Max, obviously
3D
the modeling
Studio
software
Max.
that I use, and you know, and that's a full animation program. You know, so whenever I went to make the cutscenes, I wouldn't use Click Team at all. I would just, you know, go back to my old school skills, bring my characters together, and animate them. You know, render out, you know, movies, drop those into my video editing software, and there you go.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've watched some of your old animations, by the way,
Oh,
on
Oh.
YouTube. They're all out there, Scott.
He said, "Oh no."
I know, man. I know. There's no getting away from it.
He put 'em-
They were good, honestly.
That's petty. He put him in the background
I
though.
know, man.
That's
I know.
petty.
There's no getting away from it.
No, they were good. Honestly, I'm not even kidding.
That's petty.
They were really good. My favourite one, right, was with the cat. So the cat under the bridge, and the kid was always scared to see the
yeah,
cat, but
yeah.
he always used to leave her food. And what he didn't know is that she had babies. That's so cute.
Hey, that's a true story. That is based off of a true story. My family we were living in a little apartment complex,
That's
and
true.
there was always this creepy, ratty looking cat that we all started fondly calling Demon Cat. You know, and in fact I took you know, and my two sons now, who are teenagers, you know, they were just 3 and 4 at the time,
Yeah.
But we actually went out searching for demons. We made an event of it one night. We all got flashlights and went searching around the apartment complex looking for the demon cat. And I even got a photograph of it. And man, I don't know whatever happened to it, but we peered under a car and I took a picture, and of course its eyes were glowing green. And we found demon cat.
Oh, no.
But then true to the story, like I don't know if it was a week or two later or whatever. It was a mama cat, had little babies. So it wasn't really this big bad cat. It was just a mama. And of course everybody was taking care of it.
The humane kid.
Every single
God,
person was
stop.
setting up food for her. So she was
Look
well
at the
taken care of.
animation more than
That's
his
awesome.
words.
Actually, thinking about your voice right now, you did narrate those, right?
Oh yeah. That was me and all of the voice roles. I mean, all the male roles, obviously, but
Yeah.
Well, I mean, these days I'm so fortunate to, I'm so fortunate to be able to go online and be able to connect with voice talent. Not that I wouldn't have been able to afford it back at the time anyway, but the internet was brand new. I mean, we're talking 15, 16, 17 years ago when, I mean, yeah, the internet was around, but you couldn't just go online and connect with the kind of talent that you can today, So I was pretty much on my own when it came to voice acting.
Okay, moving on to I'd say the highlight
What
of
is this
your
one? Oh, FNAF 6.
trollness. Five Nights at Freddy's 6, the game you originally planned to be a pizza simulator, an 8-bit pizza simulator.
Kill
and
me.
everyone was like, okay,
Yeah.
okay, let's have it.
Everyone was like, what's going on?
And you released the whole game without anybody knowing anything for a whole year. Like, why? Just for the
Okay.
surprise.
Well, no, there actually was reasoning behind it. It
He
wasn't
cucked us.
just to be a troll, okay? And the reasoning was kind of complicated, and it was not a very fun. That was not a fun year. I mean, that was a game that was born out of necessity because I needed to kind of bring a conclusion to several events from the series. However, whenever I was in the early stages of it, and I think I'd released a very early idea that I was working on another game, but I think it was someone on Steam that just made a passing comment. It was just a passing comment. Nobody paid any attention to it. He'd better not just start teasing a game like he always has been before, because it's just not going to cut it anymore or something like that. I don't know. It was just some passing comment, but it just made me start thinking. It's like this next game, I really can't do that. I can't just do the same thing that I did before. I can't just start releasing teasers because for some reason at that
Predictable.
time I just knew that if I went through another year of just releasing teasers, that would give everybody a lot of fatigue. Like that would
Yeah.
fatigue people. That would wear people out, and it was going to rub
Catching up
people
with
the
those
wrong
teasers
way.
were hard as is.
And I can't explain why.
Waking
I
up
felt
every
that
day
way,
before the next
but
one was
I
posted.
just really felt that.
Ah!
But at the same time, I needed to resolve a lot of issues with the story.
That was me.
And
I had
so
to
those
catch
two
the teasers
factors
before the next
combined,
one.
That's the way that I handled it.
He is
the way that I
right.
did.
Now I'm
I
thinking
worked
about
on
it. It's
the whole-
annoying.
I worked on that game for a year in secret, all the while the fan base was, getting pretty agitated that, I wasn't talking to them and I wasn't working on anything. But I knew that was the way that it just had to be. It had to be this way. This game could not
Had
have
to
a
be
lot of
this way,
hype behind
kids.
it because that wasn't the purpose. The purpose of it was not to make a lot of money. The purpose of it was not to build a lot of hype. It was just to resolve some plot points that people wanted to see. And so the result of that was me going into the dark for a year.
Is that really Scott Cawthon?
And
You're
then-
asking me 50 minutes in.
and
That
then just
is
dropping a game.
Scott.
And there you have it. And and even on the Steam store, it's not there. It's not there to draw a bunch of attention to itself. It's using all the really simplest screenshots. That is truly there for just people who wanted to have kind of a resolution to some of the story.
It was still a big highlight though. But the surprise just I think blew everybody away though, to be honest. I mean, it's one of my favourite memories where I'm just, being Freddy, throwing pizzas, and then the game glitches.
And then you're stuck
and
in
then
FNAF
you're
6.
sat in a room.
And then there's
with
past
Scrap
visions of every
Baby.
other game that
Do
haunts
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it was the biggest surprise ever.
It was great.
Well, good. Well, see, and that's exactly what it needed to be. Because just like every game kind of needs to be.
Yeah, I just remember that night, like,
when I forgot why I was on the floor, but I think my computer was messed up. You guys remember, like, last December, I was on the floor again, and my chair was over there. I just remember being on the floor, Twitter, YouTube, everything of mine's blowing up. FNAF 6 came out, and I had to use a crappier version. I had to use a crappy computer, and FNAF 6 would not record right on that other one I had to use for a while. Memories.
A little bit different.
Yeah.
You know, the way that it's approached needs to be different too.
Memories.
And the reason why I brought that comment was because it just kind of reminded me. It's like you can't just do the same thing that you've been doing. You can't just start releasing teasers again randomly and just expect everybody to keep caring. You know, so I knew that I had to handle it differently, and I think that I was successful with that.
Yeah.
I think it worked out well.
Yeah, it did. Specifically as well, with changing things up a little bit, you added the simulator start, so you make your own pizzeria, you put your own animatronics and designs in. I think that was a really, really cool idea. You know, it split the game up as well, so you're not just always in an office. You have a break from being scared.
Yeah.
And you know, you can
technically you don't have a break.
Make your own pizzeria.
You just click the next start button if you like.
I'm pretty happy with how it turned out.
Awesome. Next
you have a
up
break if you
is
want.
Ultimate Custom Night. So this was the literally released month
ago?
A month ago?
Yeah.
Has it been a month already?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Maybe a little more even.
With Ultimate Custom Night, you know, having 50 plus animatronics, was this bigger than you originally wanted it to be? So, did you originally think, right, I'm going to put 50 animatronics into this game, or did you just keep building it up?
I mean, I always knew that it was going to be a full-sized game. I mean, you know, originally, I guess at the very beginning, it was going to be an add-on to Pizzeria Simulator, but it was very soon afterwards that I realized, you know, this is going to be just a full Five Nights at Freddy's experience. You know, this just needs to be its own full game.
Yeah.
And originally it was going to be, you know, 4D characters, but then I kind of filled those slots up pretty quick, and there were just too many characters left out. You know, so I had to add an extra row, and even then there were too many characters left out. So I just kept on adding, and I found a lot of really good. I found some really good tricks to really help the program be able to handle it. You know, because like my biggest problem with Pizzeria Simulator, and I'm just kicking myself, was that, you know, I wasn't utilizing some of the graphic features properly. You know, especially with the jump scares. You know, because I had these high resolution jump scares, and it would just run out of video memory. So that's why I had to just pop out frames. But you know, there were just some really neat tricks, you know, to render them smaller and then scale them up for the sake of the game. And you really can't tell when you're playing it. They might look a little bit fuzzier, but they still look pretty high quality. But you know, it just allowed me to squeeze in all these characters and all these jump scares and just all this content, you know, really seamlessly.
Was there any scrapped ideas at all for the game?
Probably
so
crap
anything
tons.
That you wanted in but you couldn't, or you just didn't
Always
like
happens
how
with
it
video
turned out?
games.
No, whereas in some of the other games.
Well,
yeah, there's
shut
been
me
some
up and
different
call
ways
me
that I
Jesse.
considered taking it, but no, Ultimate Custom Night, that was really only the way that it could go, you know, and I kept on just kind of adding on to it. Oh yeah, but I will say this just for the record, you know, to all of your viewers listening, I'm going to give you credit where credit is due for coming up with the idea for being able to purchase new office skins. Because I think because originally I had it to where they would just randomly pop up. You know, whenever I gave you that original test copy to play, you know, you had a 1% chance of each of those offices appearing, and you made a comment saying, "Hey, it'd be cool if you could unlock those." You know, and then I changed that, and now I think it's a great feature of the game.
Sick.
So.
Awesome.
Sick.
I feel like I've participated in something. Yeah. No.
I think I participated in helping out with the vent crawlers issue. I want to feel special too. Scott replied to one of my threads. I was talking about how Molten Freddy, when Scott thought he was fixed, I told Scott he was still broken, and Scott was like, "I'll investigate." So maybe I helped too with Ultimate Custom.
Having the offices as a reward would be
I just
good.
want to feel special
and I
today.
think you put the score amounts for each office, like perfectly. So, I think you just said that you were satisfied with the game, but are you satisfied with this possibly being the last game that you might create, the last FNAF game?
Yeah, I am. I really am. Starting with Five Nights at Freddy's 3,
Oh,
there was
thank
always
God!
something that I wasn't completely happy with, and that would become a core principle of the next game.
You heard it.
With
It's
3,
over.
I wasn't completely happy with the jump scares, so I worked on 4. With 4, I wasn't completely happy with the storyline, so I made Sister Location. With Sister Location, I feel like it leaned a little too sci-fi and left a few plot points. Well, there were a few plot points that were really bothering people, so then I made Pizzeria Simulator. But then even with Pizzeria Simulator, even though I was really happy with the game, I don't know. I just felt like it needed a capstone. It needed some other bookend, just some experience. And Ultimate Custom Night brought in all of the characters, and it's been, and I think so far it's been the best reviewed of the games, which thrills me. Of course, I'm really happy to see that everybody just seems to really enjoy it. People have even welcomed a DD into their hearts after all this time. It took everyone a little bit of time, but I think everybody likes DD now. So.
No, I could see that smirk behind Scott's face. I could just see that smirk. As he was talking about DD, I could see that smirk.
Maybe not. No,
10,000 miles away. I can see that smirk.
Everybody just leave a comment in DAWKO'S video if you disagree.
I like DD. She can just sometimes spawn at awkward times for me. I mean, with 50-20 mode, there's no stopping DD, so I wasn't really bothered about. I'm just gonna say, it's Shadow D. Does she have a specific name? Should you say Shadow DD?
I named Shadow DD XOR, and I'm not sure why. But like with most of the other characters in this franchise, whenever I'm making them, some name immediately comes to mind. It doesn't mean anything, but that's the name of Shadow DD.
XOR.
Zor.
Okay. Well, is that, people said that might be Zor, or is it XOR?
It's just XOR.
Okay.
Okay,
awesome.
it's XOR. My bad.
But yeah, XOR was just with the mechanics of 50-20 mode anyway, so you couldn't be annoyed with XOR because it was part of the mechanics on what to do to try and beat it. Speaking about 50-20 mode, have you tried it after the game has been released? You know it's possible now.
Oh no.
I said, oh no.
My high score is still just 6,800. Making custom nights, the tricky thing about it, and actually I only really had to worry about this here, but I know I've mentioned other times that anytime I've ever made a custom night, I've always assumed that the most difficult mode was impossible. I mean, because that was never the intent of the game. When making the game, there are always 5 nights, and I make sure that those nights are beatable. I make sure that the 6th night is beatable. I make sure that nightmare mode is beatable. But as far as as far as setting all the the difficulties all to 20, it's never been a goal to make it possible. And really, one of the main reasons is because if I ever get to a point where I could beat it, then everybody else would beat it within the first 12 hours of the game being released. I mean, me being able to beat something is not a super high bar to clear as far as someone else being able to come along and beat it. With Ultimate Custom Night, it was really tricky because unlike the other games,
tricky with a capital tricky.
There was a burden
Times
on
capital
me
tricky.
to make sure that it could be beaten, and this is one of the areas where I think all these years of designing games really benefited me, because even though I could never beat it, and I still can't beat it, everything was designed in such a way to where I was 99.9% confident that nothing was going to conflict with something else in a way to where it would genuinely make it impossible. And with one exception, one oversight might have been the whole issue of coin collection.
Yeah.
Because I think I do agree that it might have actually been impossible to collect enough coins.
Yeah, it's annoying.
But other mechanics provided kind of a backdoor.
Take it out!
I mean,
I hate coins.
Being able to keep something on your camera and them not moving, that is intentional. It might have been, used in ways that I hadn't intended, but it was intentional, because obviously you don't want to be You don't want to have a character on screen and then suddenly pull down your screen and jump scare you. That would be teleporting. It gives it's kind of immersion breaking if something is one place. So the idea of locking them in place by watching them is a game mechanic, and it was used by everybody in a really clever way to kind of bypass mechanics that might have otherwise made the experience.
Oh. Sorry about that.
Unplayable.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome to know. So the watching the plushies was intentional, where they couldn't get you, basically.
Yeah. I mean, well, and like Lefty is. There are several characters that behave that way. Lefty is one of them also. As long as you keep the camera on Lefty, Lefty will never attack you. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of been a feature in, I think, pretty much all of the games, or at least many of them.
Yeah. I think you could actually get 30 Faz coins. By the way, I didn't try that though, because what we did was we kept lifting up the monitor, which made BB and JJ and Helpy spawn. So we just, we could get 10 Faz coins for the death coin in literally 10 seconds. So I think it is possible to get the plushies if you just,
I think it was just like a month ago that someone finally
Be a ninja.
custom night for Sister Location before the patch came out.
Oh yes,
because
I
originally
saw that. Yeah, with the power.
Yeah. Someone did that. So I'm sure that so who knows? Maybe 6 months, 9 months, a year.
Hey, we got another donation from Pyro. Thank you for the $2 donation. You are amazing. You feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? I'm pretty sure Mr. Krabs is feeling it at the moment. Scott looks like he is.
2 years down the road, someone's going to take it upon themselves to beat custom night. No death coin, buying all the plushes.
Yeah.
And just really torment themselves with that, and that'll be interesting.
Yeah. That's not going to be me. Just letting you know that.
It's not going to be you. Come on, man.
Well,
He said,
I
"Come
would
on,
do it
man."
in front of a bet, but
No, you've served your time.
Oh.
Wow. Okay. I don't think I would be able to, honestly. Maybe like for a charity stream, like something like that, I could maybe do something with it. But yeah, Ultimate Custom Night, one of my favourite games, by the way, in the series. It's on the top for me.
Good.
Really, really awesome, and a nice send off as well, Scott. Bringing them all together.
Yeah.
And
Bring them all together.
I feel like it was a great send off.
Get
to
the
game.
killer.
I think it's left a lot
I
of
like
people
it.
satisfied as
I
well.
like
Though.
it.
That's a point I wanted to make. I'm satisfied, just letting you know that, and I think a lot of people are satisfied with this too. Like, we
Afton
understand
got
that
exactly
it's
what he
good.
deserved in
the
the
last
end.
one, and yeah. Speaking about it being the
Well,
last,
that's all that matters to me. So I'm glad to hear that.
awesome. You mentioned during the interview that you've watched Matt Pat's theories and stuff. Has there ever been a theorist or somebody you've watched on YouTube and you thought, you know what, this is actually quite close or like very accurate to the story I wanted to tell, or something like that? Like if they were right, close to being right, or something.
Yeah. But I can't say anything whenever I see that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I can't jump in and confirm it, because then people would stop caring at all. Then they would just wait for me to come out and give the
to
answer.
say something.
So I would just have to look at that. That's why I would just have to look at that comment and just kind of nod to myself, like, you got it. You
got it.
got it right, friend. But
You can't
All
say
right, I see
anything.
you.
Yeah.
but no one's gonna ever know. you know?
Has that been hard to do that, to stop yourself from, trying to reveal stuff? Because I remember a while ago, in the Matt Pat's live stream when we were all involved, you were putting things on the website about like some little hints and stuff.
Yeah,
to
it's like
try
what
and,
happened to
guide
Chica's
us
beak.
to the right direction.
It was-
but we still never got it.
It has been difficult, and the times that I have tried to step in and say something have usually been mistakes.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the fun of it, right? People, the discussion is just as much fun as, well, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
People really enjoy that, and the times that I've stepped into, I don't know, I've learned to just focus on making the games.
Yeah.
And let the community do the talking, and they really enjoy that. But yeah, but sometimes I'll see, like I said, sometimes I'll see someone say something that was way out there, and I want to jump in and say, no, that's not like one of the big things for a while was, you know, whenever Sister Location first came out, there was adult theory, you know, and you know, and I saw that, and I'm like, oh no, you know, and it wasn't completely off base. Like, I could see where it was being derived from, so it's not like it was someone just trying to cause trouble for no reason. It was just a theory, but I was like,
a game theory.
I have to step in, like, I have to do something to fix this right away, and my response to that, to fix it, evolved into, you know, a pretty simple solution. I would just release a new teaser that would just kind of steer it in the correct direction. You know, and that was the right way to handle it. It's not to directly interact with the community, but to just release a new teaser, you know, that just kind of guides it back. And I did that very soon, like within a couple of days after adult theory gaining popularity, and I kind of guided it back to where it was supposed to be. And then, like I said, sometimes someone would get a good idea, but I can't say anything about that either. You know, I've just tried to monitor the community, monitor the comments, monitor the theories, and then when the group as a whole starts getting the wrong idea, that usually means that, sometimes it just means that I need to do a better job of storytelling, and then I try to use that as kind of course correction for the next thing that I do to guide the story the right way, you know? Yeah,
exactly. Have I ever been right on anything? Like, close to anything at all? Or have I just been completely wrong for 4 years?
That's a difficult question to answer, because there are really two kinds of people there are two kinds of theorists, you know? One kind is the kind of viewer or member or whatever who takes all the known facts and only uses those to put together a storyline. You know, which is kind of what, you know, MatPat does. And then the other kind is taking those few facts and then you just ad-libbing a lot more, taking more creative freedom as to where the story might go. You know, so in other words, one type is trying to figure out what happened, and the other type is the kind that tries to figure out what might happen, like after another 6 months or after another year, after the next game or whatever, you know, and then try to figure it all out. So one is much more speculative than the other. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So it's hard to, you know, that being the case, it's hard to gauge people as how right or how wrong they were whenever whenever a lot of people are, you know, obviously adding a lot more of their own imagination to the mix, you know what I mean? But I cannot, all right, I'll say this, I cannot remember a time whenever I've watched one of your theory videos and just rolled my eyes like, oh my gosh, you know, like he's lost it, you know, so.
He's lost it.
I'll take that. Yeah, because I'm like, I just do videos on just ideas and stuff. Like, if I have an idea, I just say it, and because I like to try and make the community expand more. Do you know what I mean? Not just set their mind on one idea. Like, you know, with any theory, there's always multiple ideas to something, and that's what I tried to do with Ultimate Custom Night and stuff recently, is try to give the community ideas to have their own judgment on the game. I think MatPat has a lot of pressure to just do one set plan, because if he tries to go with other ideas and stuff, his audience start to think like, well, hold on here, you're going all over the place. You're telling us loads of ideas and not just one solid idea.
Well, I mean, he you know, he's got a lot more pressure on him, obviously, just because of, you know, the audience. You know, that goes with anything else. There's always going to be a lot more pressure on him, and a lot more scrutiny, and a lot more criticism, you know, focused on him. You know, I think he's managed it really well without.
He has.
I think he's done really well. You know, and yeah, like I was saying, that's why it's hard to tell you if you've ever been really right or really wrong, because you lean more into the speculative crowd. You know, you add your theories are much more speculative about what could be going on, rather than trying to put together solid timelines and stuff like that, you know?
Okay, next question I'd like to ask is, how is the movie going? Because I know a lot of people have been wondering about this.
The movie's been going really well. You know, the first few years of the franchise,
he's like, we got it, boys!
Trying to get a movie out as fast as possible, like to catch the hype wave and stuff. But now looking back, I'm really glad that didn't happen, because something I've really started to come to want over these last few years is I want that movie to be able to stand on its own as a good movie and not ride the coattails of a different part of the franchise, you know, because then, you know, for instance, you know, if you were to make a movie that just had
The Living Latios, I have my eyes on the comments while I'm watching or while I'm doing something every time. Don't think just because somebody gives me money that I only listen to the comments. No, I read my comments every time I stream. I read my comments every time I make a video. So don't try to frame me like that.
The name Five Nights at Freddy's without a whole lot of emphasis on the quality of the movie itself, then yeah, if it happened during the peak of the popularity of Five Nights at Freddy's, it would do really well. But if the franchise as a whole, you know, had waned a little bit, then the movie wouldn't do well either. Like, I want the movie to stand on its own. Yeah. I want the movie to be good on its own right. I want it to be a great movie. And for that reason, I'm really glad it didn't happen in those first few years, because I think too much emphasis would have been placed on getting it out as fast as possible. And, you know, one of the challenges with the movie, one of the...
Ah! Copyright. Alright, guys, stop giving Rainbow a hard time. And Rainbow, never listen to negativity like that. Remember what I told you, people don't know who you really are on the internet, so don't listen to any don't listen to anything anybody has to say negative about you, because they don't know half your story. So
why it's taken so long.
They think they know you, but they don't know.
It's actually really difficult to make a script of this. I've had the privilege of working with a couple of
just gotta ignore it
now, obviously. Talked to a lot of directors. I've had a lot of scripts come across my desk. I've had a lot of ideas pitched. And, you know, one of the biggest challenges...
Thank God it's the last ad!
3 scripts on my own. And I've struggled, honestly, with the same problem as lots of these other directors, which is just the fact that with 8 games, 5 books, including the security log book and the I forget the name
Freddy
of the other
Files.
One. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I forgot one of his books.
So with the 8 games, 5 books, you know,
he said I forgot one of the names.
Of
slipped my mind.
And fan theories and this and that and timelines and all this stuff. Too many, you know. The people I worked with so far have either looked at it all, been completely overwhelmed, and decided to do something completely original, just start completely over, and obviously that doesn't work. And a couple other guys have tried to incorporate everything into some, you know, master script that includes every aspect, every character, every idea, and obviously that doesn't work either, because then it's just a dumpster fire. It's just too much to squeeze into 2 hours. You can't do it. You know, you cannot do it. And you know, originally the script was going to be based on the books, which eventually I decided was not the way to go. You know, the books were originally designed for people who just wanted extra stories. You know, they wanted a little bit more detail, more story, but that was never intended to be the definitive story of Five Nights at Freddy's. And people who go to see the movie aren't going to want to see a retelling of the books. They're going to want to see the first game. They're going to want to see a retelling of the story that got them interested in the first place. You know, the first game had the right atmosphere, the right characters, and that's what people are going to want. And ideally, if the first movie does really well, I think it would work great as a trilogy. Five Nights at Freddy's 1, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and Five Nights at Freddy's 3, based on the first 3 games. I'm not going to go into the first movie with that mentality, though. You know, I've seen too many good movies get kind of sidetracked by trying to set up future movies. I'm not going to fall into that. I'm just going to really focus on telling a good story with this first one. But yeah, I've seen some interesting things, and I'm going to try to be really careful, you know, not to sound critical of some of the ideas that I've seen, because, like I said, you know, there were a lot of challenges to writing a script for this, even for me, because there's just so much information. But there are some things that I'm really glad never made it. You know, and one of them being that something that I actually heard on, I think it was a Matt Pat on a live stream, was musing about bad ideas.
Whoa! $5 donation from freaking Pyro. I shall ask this question. Can you react to the scout who never gave up by HoovyTube? I don't know if I'm allowed to ask on a stream, but if not, sorry. No, technically I don't usually allow people, but put in the comments next time. I'll see what I can do about that video. Thanks for asking.
It could potentially happen in a Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Pyro, you're a legend.
One of the ones that he just brushed off and laughed about was the idea of plush toys coming to life, and I heard that, and that's another time where I wanted to jump in and say something, but I knew that I couldn't, because that is something that actually could have happened. You know, it wasn't a full-blown script, but somebody had that idea and could have implemented it, and there wouldn't have been a whole lot that I could have done about it at the time. So that's a scary thought, and that's kind of the risk, you know, that's kind of the risk of not really understanding a franchise really well, and then trying to come up with something that's I don't know, that would have been that would have been really bad. But yeah, I heard him mention that comment on his live stream. I was thinking to myself, you have no idea that actually almost happened. That specific idea, plush toys coming to life and taking over Manhattan, that actually almost happened.
Oh God!
I actually kind of want to see that now, though.
Well, you know, I don't know. It just maybe it would work better with a different name, but
yeah, I mean the
Five Nights at
community's
Freddy's,
so
I don't think so.
talented and stuff. Maybe they could make a little cartoon or something, like an animation of it happening as a joke.
I don't know, man. but yeah, in short though, I think that everything's where it needs to be right now. You know.
So what's next? You got any future projects or anything that you're working on?
I'm gonna try to take life a little easier. I think I did finally get a couple of big deals signed with some companies, and I'll be able to provide details on that later. But there are a few big things in the works that are happening right now, which is the virtual reality game is going, and the augmented reality game is going. And I know most people, you know, the only example they can think of for augmented reality would be Pokemon Go. You know, but really augmented reality game just means, you know, you hold up your phone and then
you see
things are
it
kind of overlaid on the screen.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of half and half between what you're really seeing and then something superimposed. So, I don't think it's not going to have any kind of, you know, you're not going to be running through the bushes in your neighbor's yard trying to catch Freddy Fazbear or anything like that. You know, it's going to be something. I'm thinking it'll be kind of like a party game, something to do with your friends. You know, creeping through the dark, you know, creeping through your house, and then somebody's going to jump out at you. Yeah. But that's in the early stages. But I think it's going to be really cool. So that's in the works. And I'm in talks with a company right now to start porting Five Nights at Freddy's to major consoles right now, and I'm going to hold off on that because, you know, until I have more details on it.
FNAF on console, I'll
I'm really
try it.
like that. For the longest time, I wasn't willing to sign on with any companies because I was keeping the series too tight under wraps. You know, I really wanted to be protective of the story. I didn't want other companies to come in and add characters. I didn't want other companies to come in and add storylines. Yeah. And I'm still holding on to that. You know, my deals with them are very, very specific. You know, they don't have free reign to add storylines and characters. But I am more open to getting help now. You know, I'm more open to letting other companies do what I can't do. Like, you know, I don't know how to make an augmented reality game. I can't do that on my own. I don't know how to make a virtual reality game. I can't do that on my own.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome.
But yeah, I'm working really closely.
Yeah, FNAF on console is gonna be a disaster.
I've done my best to pick really good people to work with. So. Yeah, good things.
Exciting, very exciting. So
probably like only Wii U and Switch will only have a chance.
The VR, the AR, the movie, so possible console port. So yeah, really excited. So I think a lot of people are going to be excited for those, definitely. If you could get the second, I think you've just answered this, but this is a little bit different. If you could get a second chance to go back to 2013-14, Would you do it all over again in the same way?
I don't know. I don't think I'd go back and. I mean, obviously there are little details I want to maybe polish up on, but no, I wouldn't change anything. I mean, you know, yeah, in 2014, I think I mentioned this on an online interview, but you know, I was considering making another Legacy of Flan game, which is some series I used to make, some obscure series I used to work on many years ago that like 2 people know about, or work on another, or work on the sequel to Desolate Hope, or make an indie horror game, you know, featuring security cameras, you know, and that was a long decision, you know, and it could have gone any direction, and I chose the indie horror game. And then same thing with the sequel. After I made the first one, I almost didn't make a sequel to it. You know, I was considering 2 or 3 different game ideas, but no, you know, everything turned out for the best. I think I wouldn't go back and mess with it.
Did your family, through the course of these years, give you any good ideas, or like did they implement anything in any way, or influence the story?
Well, I will tell you, my oldest son Ian, he contributed an idea for the first game.
What is it?
That has become iconic to the series.
Golden
and the
Freddy?
series could not go on without it.
Right.
And I need to take a moment to give him full credit for
The
that.
fan. Just watch.
My son Ian,
The fan.
after they had
Or the
been beta
cupcake.
testing,
Or the
I was
cameras.
like, hey, so do you guys have any suggestions for anything? Like, what do y'all think I should add to this?
Cameras.
And Ian said, you should make it so that when you click on Freddy's nose, it honks.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, that'd be kind of a fun Easter egg.
Yeah.
So I added it in, and now the rest is history. Like a game can't go by without being able to click on Freddy's nose. Like it's become just. You know.
Yeah.
We all expect it. Yeah.
So big shout out to Ian for,
Thank you, Ian.
for coming up with that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you know, but I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, it's just, you know, it's just nice to have a support group. It's great to have people around you who just support you. Yeah, I mean, that's really the most important thing, even more important than directly contributing ideas. It's just, you know, people who are around you and love you and support you and encourage you to try one more time. You know, you can't find anything more valuable than that.
Yeah, you're exactly right there. Yeah. Do you have any favourite games? I think you said before that you liked Mega Man, or am I completely wrong here?
All right. Well, I'm definitely a retro gamer. Whenever I pick a system to play on, I never go beyond Super Nintendo. So I'm stuck in 1993. I have my Nintendo and I have my Super Nintendo. All the games that I play are on those 2. And yeah, and I pick a game every once in a while that I'll try to really, you know, master or whatever. Yeah, Mega Man 3 was my big accomplishment. I could play through that game Buster only. Very proud of it. And only recently, I know this will be really random, but recently I found a new gem that defeated me as a kid, which is UN Squadron on Super Nintendo. It's a side-scrolling airplane game. You know, used to tear me apart as a kid, you know, but now I've been really playing that every day and dedicating myself to it, and I beat it on normal mode. Now I'm fighting through on hard mode. You know, just whenever I get a chance. I don't have a whole lot of time to play games.
I mean, a few days ago, by the way, on the Reddit, a lot of people were posting things about your birthday, right? A lot of people would like to know when your birthday actually is, if you're allowed to say. It's just so we, you know, we can say happy birthday.
Okay. Yeah, there's been a lot of confusion about this. Yes, because depending on what year you would try to look me up, a different birthday would appear on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
In a different picture.
Yes,
so
the original picture. Yeah.
Yeah, so weird guy. Yeah. We all thought that was Scott.
So I'll just tell us right now. My birthday is February 31st.
February 31st.
For some reason, I've always thought it was like summer. For some reason. So February, awesome. Okay, so that's the wrap for the interview. Apart from one final thing, would you like to say any final thoughts to the people?
I think I would just like to make sure everybody out there knows how much I really appreciate this fan
Last
base.
4 freaking years.
All of the support. Before all this Five Nights at Freddy's stuff had started, and I had just made the Desolate Hope.
ladies and gentlemen, they got me! God dang it, Scott!
If I was online and I found one piece of fan art that someone had made of the Desolate Hope characters, you know, just randomly, I have no idea who it was. I have no idea what happened to that picture. But, you know, like that was so special to me, seeing that
God
someone
dang
out
it,
there
I got trolled.
had enjoyed that game and drawn one of those characters. Like, that was just incredible to me. It made me feel so good. Made my day, made my week, made my month.
This dude got me.
You know, and so now to be able to, you know, go online and just see this, you know, incredible community of people, you know, with people that have 10 times the artistic talent as I do, you know, with
Just
all
like
this,
realized it. I was like,
with this
wait a
fan art,
minute.
you know, these fan games.
Did he
You know, I mean,
like
there's some
casually
incredible
get that
games out
past
there.
DAWKO too?
And I don't want to, like, I'm scared to mention names of anyone because I know that I'm going to leave out important ones, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, like seeing these, you know, insane games that Nixon comes
He
up
said
with.
31st.
You know, and,
I think he said 31st.
you know, and I've always heard nothing but good things about like the storylines in Pop Goes. And then, you know, the artistic direction of games like Flumpties.
Yeah.
You know, and this, like, everybody has these specialties where they just flourish in the stuff that they make. You know, and like you go into Game Jolt and just see these pages of all these really cool ones. You know, and I picked out a few, but you know, because you know those are probably the more experienced members of the community. But you know, I don't want to overlook people who are up and coming game designers who decide to make fan games as their first game. You know, and what an honor that is. You know, what an incredible honor that is for someone to want to be a game developer and to have their first couple of games be a Five Nights at Freddy's fan game. You know, it's just such an honor. And like I said, just the incredible artistic community, like on DeviantArt, and anytime I go on Reddit, just these illustrations that people make. And you know, and I've been fortunate enough to snag a couple of those artists to do official artwork for me. But you know, and you know, and the memes are great too. I've been very fortunate to see myself featured in memes. You know, not many people get to say that, and to see my characters featured in memes. So that's always exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, and just the YouTube community, just, you know, amazing. I mean, you know, you, Razbowski, the Ryans, you know, Corey Kenshin, you know, Fusion, just this whole community of great YouTubers have just been so supportive over the years. Yeah, I'm just blessed. I'm just really blessed. This isn't so much a thank you as just I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to just be surrounded by just such an incredibly talented community. Yeah, it's just been an amazing experience. It really has been.
Yeah, and for many years to come, by the way, Scott, like, we'll always be supportive with the community and you, always.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to try not to let you guys down, but I hope, you know, I mean, I don't always get these things just right, but I hope everybody in the community believes at least that, you know, just like what I said, you know, how I've been trying to write this script. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean the movie's going to be perfect, and it doesn't mean that these next few games are going to be perfect, but I hope everybody at least believes that my number one goal is to make sure that I don't let anybody out there down. You know, I know that a lot of people enjoy these characters and enjoy these games, and that means the world to me. I'm just going to try not to let anybody down. That's always at the forefront of all of my thoughts, just making sure that I do right by everybody.
So yeah, thank you so much, Scott. I really
Scott's
do.
a legend.
Really do appreciate it. You know, it's been a long interview, and I really do appreciate the fact that, you know, you took the time to do this. It means a lot to me and everybody watching, of course.
Well, I hope I haven't misspoke anywhere. I hope the fan base will forgive me if I overcomplicate it at some point. The last thing I want to do is start up.
If you spam at the end of this live stream, I'll personally ban you myself, and it's really not hard to do so.
See a flame war erupt on Reddit right after this interview with everybody taking something that I said. So
Don't spam.
Let me just make the disclaimer again. Like, no lore has been hidden in this interview. Like, this is all off the cuff. Nothing was pre-planned. You know, and this is just some guy, you know, talking about his experiences making the game series. So I hope nobody will read too much into that, but yeah, this has been a lot of fun, Lewis. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me.
Thank you very much. And yeah, and
Oof, I
that's what
heard
the
Mr.
community's
Hippo in
like,
that
they try
voice.
and think about things too much. So yeah.
Well, and I've done that. That's my fault. This is what I have created.
Curious people. I think that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section about everything. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I really hope that the interview has satisfied you. Because there's been a lot of hype for this, so hopefully, like, the questions were good and everything was perfect for you guys. So, yeah. Thanks for watching.
Dang. So yeah, guys, that was it. If you people watching this recording like that reaction video, make sure you guys hit the like button, comment below, subscribe for quick history today, and I will see you awesome histors later. Peace out. So yeah, that's the recording over. So yeah, I was recording it the whole time just in case I lost anything.
What's going on, guys?
So yeah, guys,
Yeah.
I learned a little bit about Scott and how the series was developed. Good guy. He's a good guy. He's a real good guy, man. Real good guy. Good guy, Scott. Good guy, Scott. He's amazing. And oh god, 55 of you came and grabbed me. 55 of you came and grabbed it. I seen a couple of people saying they replied to this, so I wanted to feature you guys. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. A lot of people were asking me some questions about FNAF, so I'll answer them right now personally. I got a very common question. People are asking me what's actually my favorite character in FNAF. Gotta say, it's sorry about that. Had a little. Why does it lag when I'm not doing anything? This is stupid. Anyway, we're back. Sorry about that lag. The question that people were asking me is, who's my favorite FNAF character? Gotta say Golden Freddy. Golden Freddy's like one of the best FNAF characters ever. And someone asked me, what do I think about the FNAF ending? I think it's great. Everything burns. Everyone goes. Some people go to heaven. One person stays and takes vengeance on the killer. And the killer got exactly what he deserved. So yeah, I like it. And thank you again, Pyro, for another $2 donation. You are a sexy person. Don't stop being a sexy person, okay? So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll probably be in my Squad Hub chat talking to you guys a little bit on Discord after the stream. So yeah, guys, I'll see you awesome kissers later. Thank you for tuning in. Dawko, thank you again for letting me react to this. You're a cool guy. You want to collab?